Understanding what stats to look for on which piece of gear is really, really important when it comes to building your champions to be the most powerful that they can be. So that is exactly what we are going to explore in this video. I'm Ojh&x, this is a Raid Shadow Legends video and it is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Now for absolutely no reason whatsoever, just because I've got itchy feet, we're just going to pull this. We're just going to pull this ancient shard here. We are going to look for one of these. Who should we look for? Who's that? Definitely Fabian. Right, no questions asked. Fabian. Let's just pull this shard. Don't do this. Wait for a 2x event. CVC is running at the moment. It will get me some points towards that. We've pulled a blue, and it is Red Cloak Tanako. I've got no idea about if Red Cloak is any good or not, but that's kind of how it goes. Anyway. Previously, I have done a video around the stats that are in the game, because if you're a new player, or maybe you're a player that's taken a break from the game, is that there are a lot of stats in this game, and understanding what they mean is really, really important. I will link that video above. However, in this video, like I say, we're going to talk about the different stats that you can get from different pieces of gear. Now, if you're a newer player to the game, then one of the most important things to understand when it does come down to gearing your champions, let's open a champion here, Michelangelo, one of the most important things for you to understand is that the gear stats are more important than you building sets of gear. Now, what do I mean by that? So here, for example, we've got a live set, and to activate the plus 15% HP, you need to equip 2 pieces of the live set. And if we go much further down here, then there's some that need you to equip 4 pieces. However, if you equip 4 crap pieces of gear solely to get the set bonus, that is not the way to do it. So in early game, if you've not got enough good pieces of a particular set, don't worry about it, right? It's more important that you look at the stats that your champion has got rather than trying to lean into this. We'll lean into the sets later on when we've got just a bigger wardrobe of gear, let's call it, whatever that is. The other thing, if you are a newer player, is that some of the stats that we're aiming for on this, you may not have available at the moment. So we're just going to talk about some general tips of the best stats that you are looking for. And the top tip on this one is that percentage stats will always be better than flat stats. So again, what does that mean? Now, there are some pieces of gear which just roll which you can only get flat stats on, and that's just absolutely fine. But let's have a look down here. If we got one to go, here we go. These gloves are a perfect example. Let's get rid of you up there. Let's talk about the gloves down in the bottom left corner here. These gloves have rolled into a main stat of a flat HP of 1286. However, if this was to roll into a HP stat of a percentage, then that would just be much better for us. Percentage stats will always at equal level outweigh the HP stat. And the places where this happens, where you can get either of the two, if we go down here, let's just open primary stats for example, is you can get HP as a flat stat or as a percentage, attack as a flat stat or a percentage, and defense as a flat stat or a percentage. Things like speed, resistance and accuracy, they are just flat stats, so it doesn't matter. Equally, crit rate and crit damage come as a percentage, so we're winning there anyway. But if you are looking at bits of kit or bits of equipment that you can, bits of gear, then you're looking for percentage stats where they are available. And like I say, if you're a newer player to the game, then you might not have that at the moment. That's absolutely fine. You just make the best with what you've got, and then you go through the dungeons and you go through all the campaign, you farm better gear, and then eventually you'll swap that stuff out. So this is just stuff to think about in the future. Now, let's get rid of that filter. Now, there are some items where, like I say, the main stat on them is set for us. There's nothing that we can do about that. So that's dead easy for us to talk about. And it's going to be the top 3 across the top row, essentially. So weapons. Weapons will always roll into flat attack. There's nothing we can do about that. If we've got the weapon selected up here, if we choose the weapon and we go down to primary stat, you'll see the only thing I can choose is attack. Weapons just roll into flat attack. There's absolutely nothing we can do about that, so there's nothing for us to worry about. Similarly, helmets always roll into flat HP. Again, nothing we can do about that. And shields always roll into flat defense. So again, on those items, you're going to be looking for the most appropriate substats on them. We just can't do anything about the main stat, just is what it is. But we can use that, knowing the stats that we're going to get from those artifacts, and knowing that we're going to get attack from a weapon, know we're going to get defense from a shield is that actually the main variables we've got are the bottom row of 3 and also the 3 accessories. So let's have a look at this and let's close some of these windows. With your boots, let's start with boots, shall we? With your boots, boots are the only artifact that can roll into speed as a main stat, right? This is the only source of main stat speed you're going to get. And not that anyone was doubting me, I'm absolutely sure, but if I go into the primary stats here, then they've got speed. And if we look at anything else, chestplate, for example, speed has gone. And if we change that to gloves, speed has gone. So the only item that can roll as with speed as a main stat is going to be the boots. Therefore, that will be the priority stat on your boots on all or as many of your champions as you can, especially like your support-based champions that you want to be going first, whether that be in PvP or in PvE. So speed is going to be the most important thing that we're looking for on boots. Now, obviously, you want the sub-stats to roll into useful things. So for Michelangelo, one of my damage dealers here, one of my attackers, we've got an attack percentage. Again, percentage being better than flat stat attack. HP, okay, a bit more survivability, crit rate, and accuracy. Lovely, lovely stuff. That's I'm happy enough with that. That will do for me. Next up then, before we move on, but obviously if you're in the early game and you haven't got speed boots at the moment, but you've got a set of boots that do roll speed as a substat, then you're just going to have to make do with what you've got for the moment. We're talking that, when your account is, maybe, not even that old, a few weeks into the game, couple months into the game, that you'll have loads and loads of pairs of speed boots and you'll be saving them. If it's basically later in the game, if you've got a set of boots that doesn't roll speed as the main stat, you're probably going to throw it in the bin. Anyway, so that's the boots done. Nice. Right. With the chest plate, then there's a number of different stats that we can get on the chest plate, and this is where you have got some variety in maybe what you want to what you want to spec your chest plate into. So chest plates, as we can see over on the left hand side of the filter, is that they can go into everything down the left column, or resistance or accuracy. The chances are you're probably going to roll this into one of the percentage based ones. You're probably going to roll this into a high HP percentage or an attack percentage or a defense percentage. You may well use it for accuracy, I suppose, if you really, really need to. I'd suggest that resistance is probably not going to be what you'd use a chest plate, something that's got such a large amount of stats on as your chest plate. You're probably not going to use it for resistance, although there may well be niche cases on that. Equally, HP, attack, and defense as their flat stats are not going to be the answer. So if we have a look here, I've got a 50% attack increase as the main stat on here, and then the substats have rolled into some semi-decent stuff. Crit rate, speed, attack speed, as we've discussed on my stats video, the most important stat in the game. So just get as much speed as you can. Fast champions will be good champions, largely, and then it's rolled into some defense here. Hey, look, we've kind of got 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 5 that are really, really good for us. So that's absolutely fine. So percentage based, possibly accuracy on your chest plate, but I'd suggest it was going to be HP percent, or largely be attack percent for your attack damage dealers, or defense if you've got your more defensive minded champions. Excellent. Next up then is going to be gloves. Now, gloves or gauntlets, the most important thing you're going to be looking for on these is either going to be crit rate or crit damage. Again, both of those come as a percentage anyway, so we are laughing with that. You can roll into all of these other stats down the left hand side, like I say, in the early game. That might be necessary for you because you might not have that many pairs of gloves, and it may well be that you end up with a set of gloves that roll into one of these left stats here, but that they're giving you some crit rate or some crit damage, and that's just going to help you out, in the early game. Fine, absolutely fine. However, when you get into the later game, is that you might find that you need crit rate on these gloves because you're just struggling to get to that 100% crit rate. Again, you can have as much crit damage as you want, but if you've not got 100% crit rate, then you won't be landing constant crits, basically. So, you can have a 500% crit damage, but if you've got a 20% crit rate, then only 1 in 5 will be making the most of that. So crit rate is really important to get that to 100%. And in the early game, you may well need your gloves to get you up towards that, or actually to that target. However, later on in the game, when you've got plenty of crit rate, that you'll be looking for gloves that roll into crit damage, and that's it. It's either crit rate or crit damage is kind of the 95% answer when you're looking at what your gloves can give you. Moving on then, we have got the accessories. Let's close some of these bits and pieces down here. Moving on then, we've got the accessories, starting out then with the ring. Now, I've gone over to the fitting room then, and I have got the primary stats up for the ring there. And the only thing that the ring can roll into is flat stat, HP, attack, or defense. So this is just another one of those that's forced upon us. We don't have the luxury to be able to kind of pick what's the best one. Now, on my Michelangelo, I've got a defensive ring. That is, out of the three, of HP, attack, or defense, probably the worst of the three. But that's the best that I've got at the moment. And it's rolled into an attack percentage and a HP percentage, right? So it's given us a bit of something at least. And, we get a little bit out of defense, I suppose, with a little bit of mitigation, but it's not the greatest ring. But like I say, sometimes needs must, and you've got to do what you've got to do. But it'll probably, just try and align that ring to the strength of your champion. So whether it's a HP, or whether it's an attacker or defender, whatever that might be, or if it needs some survivability because it's one of your support champions. Fine. Next up then is going to be the amulet or the necklace or whatever you want to call it, right? Let's have a look at the filters for the old amulet then, right? So, HP, attack, defense, flat stats, not interested, crit damage. That is looking saucy. What have we got on ours? Yes, we have crit damage on our amulet, which is realistically the only answer on the amulet. Again, I keep saying this, if all you've got is a flat stat one, then you're best equipping something rather than leaving that slot open, right? Just equip something, it'll be better than nothing. But ideally, crit damage will be the answer for us, okay? So as you can see again here, this is not brilliant at all. We've got accuracy, comes with a flat stat anyway. Defense, not really that interested. Attack is a flat stat and HP is a flat stat. But again, it's giving me 33% crit damage as the main stat. So I kind of have to. And it's also the best that I've got. And it's 5-star. Fine, good. So we're looking for crit damage on our amulets / necklace. Last but not least then is going to be the banners. Now banners roll into accuracy. I think they're the only accessory or artifact in the game that can roll into accuracy. Again, this can roll into some other bits and pieces, but you're going to want to, no, let's close that. You're going to want, rather than choosing flat stat HP, or flat stat attack, or flat stat defense, or resistance really, is that accuracy is going to be your bread and butter on your banners. As you can see on this banner, it gives me 96 accuracy. Michelangelo, I wish I had Leonardo. Michelangelo running at 324 accuracy. And the vast majority of champions in this game are going to need accuracy to be landing their debuffs. And getting their, all the different types of debuffs, whether it be poisons or decreased defense or decreased attack or whatever it might be. Accuracy is a really important stat in this game. Speed being number one, but accuracy not being too far behind. Because if you're not landing your debuffs, then you're going to find quite a lot of the fights a bit of a struggle. Anyway, so if possible and where possible, you should always be looking for accuracy on your banner. So that is pretty much everything that you need to know really from a, as a kind of, I know this video might have gone on for a bit, it was a bit of a TLDR as an overview of all of the different artifacts and accessories in the game, is that the top 3 items roll into flat stats anyway: attack, HP and defense. Nothing you can do about that. On the gloves, you're looking for crit rate or crit damage. In the later game, it'll likely be crit damage. On the chest plate, you're looking for a percentage stat most applicable to your champion type, whether that be attack, defense, or possibly HP. And then on the boots, you'll be looking for speed boots, 9, later in the game, 10 times out of 10. 9 times out of 10 before, 10 times out of 10 After that, we're looking for rings. Again, we've just got flat stats on the rings, so it'll be the one that's most applicable to that champion type. Then we've got the amulet, where we'll be looking for crit damage on the amulet. And then finally, we've got the banner, where we'll be looking for accuracy on the banner. So like I said, if you're really not sure about what the stats are about, then I'll put that at the video at the end of this one. If you are a new player, then I've got a new player link that you can use, which will get you a couple of legendaries. And we've got the Michelangelo chase event still on at the moment. So if you log in for 7 days, you'll get yourself a legendary Michelangelo. So I do have a link in the comment, the pinned comment and the description below. But apart from that, I hope this video has helped you out. If it has, let me know down in the comments. If you're not, please get yourself subscribed, because there'll be more raid content coming your way soon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.